Welcome to another edition of Onside SA, where we get straight into the action and talk about last one standing. I must say from the outset, Stevie B told me to take Everton last week. I'm officially out. Budget's down to 10 left after 5 weeks.
It could have been a carryover, Paul, if Arsenal hadn't a comeback from nowhere. I thought they were gone at one stage.
Yeah, so did I. So Everton took out 5, Man United took out 3.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace won, they were stiff.
Kevin Rice, shame he was. Our man onside Benteke, the sitter he missed.
Yeah.
The least said the better about the other.
And Newcastle took one out. So Arsenal took 10 through. Otherwise, it would have been
a carryover.
Carryover, those boys.
Everyone would have been back.
So 10 left. Tote favourite Andy Craig. Why?
Andy's got Liverpool to use this week. You know, his Paddy Loker's a good friend of Paddy's, and they're always having a go. And He gets 3 or 4 rounds every competition, Paul. This is his chance.
So do I. So do I. I'm gone. I'm thrown out with the bloody dishwater here. All right. Stevie B is in the studio in London. Stevie, you there?
I'm here. Good morning, guys.
All right.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Steve. Well, interesting. Budge? Steve?
League Cup, Steve.
League Cup, sure.
You know, Man United nearly went out last night.
They did. I mean, they really struggled. I mean, it's all very well saying they played a weakened team, but you look on paper, they still had quite a few, well-known names there against a relatively unknown Rochdale, who gave a good account of themselves and did remarkably well. To sort of a 16-year-old schoolboy scored late to take it to penalties.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's their cup final, wasn't it? You know, big game.
Absolutely.
They took 6,000 fans, and it's a local derby, but.
There were some teams blown out.
I never saw the Spurs game. We never had it.
I watched it.
Was it on?
Dull, yeah. It was on. I watched it.
But, well, as you say, you saw Paul yourself. I mean, again, Tottenham rested a few, but they still had some,
they had a good squad.
There. And to be fair to Colchester, they played really well.
Yeah.
Tottenham didn't create much at all.
No.
And in the end, Colchester claimed their second Premier League scalp on penalties. So, good luck to them.
Yeah, when you're playing Moura, Dele Alli, and you've got players going forward. They're Borden Parrott, he's supposed to be a very good young player. Yeah. And then they had Eriksson warming up and Song and they just, they parked the bus a little bit, but
you expected that.
You expect that, shit. Yeah. But last night a few teams went.
Yeah, so Bournemouth got beat.
Bournemouth went. Yeah, I think the West Ham, how'd they go?
Well, West Ham lost 4-0.
That's right.
And again, they rested a few, but they actually had a relatively strong team. And as soon as they went 1-0 down early in the second half, they brought on Mark Noble, Haller. I mean, Anderson. They brought on some big names, and they ended up losing 4-0 and were utterly humiliated in the end.
Yeah.
So
it was Oxford,
I think Pellegrini apologised to the fans afterwards. It was a really poor performance.
Yeah, I wish the players would go and fund the supporters' cost for that
tickets,
particular game.
Yeah.
They're getting a king's ransom, these guys. And I feel for the fans. Even United last night, they were giving tickets away to fill the stadium up. But it's a cost to get there, and the players don't seem interested. Yeah. And that's the sad part for me.
It's a shame because ultimately it's a trophy, and for some clubs it might be the only one they've got a chance of winning, and it's a gateway to Europe. So I'm surprised that certain teams put out weakened side, but again, Premiership teams ultimately they can't. They all feel they can't afford to drop out of the Premier League. So if they think that. Putting out a team in another midweek game could cost them dearly in the next weekend. They just seem reluctant to do it.
Yeah. Now, Steve, Liverpool play Arsenal. United are away at Chelsea. Do you think the managers will put out good, decent teams, or will they just?
I think they will do. Again, they may rest one or two, but I guess then it evens themselves out. But obviously the bigger teams have got the stronger squads. Chelsea put out a fairly strongish team, a young team last night, and obviously cruised through in the end 7-1. I think the fans will demand. I mean, if Chelsea put out a strong team and United go there and play the kids, it'd be embarrassing. So I think that and for a large, probably be televised games, I think ultimately the fans deserve to see two strong teams go at it. And again, you don't know. I mean, it may be the only chance for one of them to win a trophy this year. So, why wouldn't they put out a strong team at this stage?
Yeah, especially Man United. Steve, just changing course, the World Player of the Year, there's been quite, I wouldn't say controversy, but different opinions. Do you think Messi was the right winner?
It's hard. Look, I mean, he personally he had a very good season. I mean, obviously, they came unstuck in the Champions League. They won La Liga again. He scored sort of umpteen goals. But there's an argument to say, did he do any more than he normally does? And someone like Virgil van Dijk, was the rock at the centre of the Liverpool defence that helped them win the Champions League. So I think maybe had Liverpool have won the Premier League as well, maybe there would have been a bigger case to say, look at what they've won in comparison to Barcelona. But as I say, it's been quite a few years since anybody other than sort of Messi or Ronaldo have won it.
When was the last guy from the UK to win it, or UK team?
Ronaldo won it, I think, in '88. Or
As a man,
88, it was 98.
2000.
I think he was the last
2008. 2008, yeah. So it's been a long time. So we'll see. I mean, Hazard, had a wonderful season, but again, Chelsea didn't win anything, so he was never going to be in real contention. Yeah. Ronaldo, had a good season, but again, Juventus didn't do enough sort of in Europe. So look, it's hard to vote against Messi, isn't it? When he breaks all these records.
Yeah, well, the argument I saw, the guy said, did Messi elevate Barcelona to doing anything? They won the league, but the biggest game, the Champions League, they got beat 4-0 at Anfield, and when Argentina in the Gold Cup, he didn't elevate them to winning anything.
Yep.
Now, when you look at Van Dijk, if it wasn't for him, Liverpool wouldn't have been cited. He elevated them to win the Champions League, to get the final of the Nations League. And when you looked at who the manager of the year was, it was Jurgen Klopp. Why didn't they give it to Valverde?
Well, I'm not sure that when it comes to the voting that they're quite as logical as that. So remains to be seen now, sort of next season, what happens.
Yeah.
Again, Barcelona have started slowly. It's their worst start in many years. So it'd be interesting if they don't win anything this year. Then it'd be very difficult for someone to make a case for him.
Steve, not a nice topic, but who do you think the next manager to be fired in the Premiership will be?
Pochettino.
Well, he's third favourite. The bookies have got a clear favourite as Marco Silva. Everton, I think, again, they'd won their 2 home games before last weekend, but I think with the funds that he's had available, I think there's a lot of disappointment there, and I'm not sure if they carry on like this now. Obviously, they've got a tough game at the weekend, so I don't think that's going to help his chances anymore. Solskjaer's second favourite, but Ed Woodward came out in favour of him this week. So, and I think he's just been desperately unlucky with injuries. They can't put out a forward line. So I think they will stick with Solskjaer for the time being. And after that, I'm surprised he got Pochettino.
I'm not surprised, Steve. I'm not surprised.
Well,
all 4 leagues. You know what they say? Well, I think it was since January, only one team's lost 15 games. Spurs. They've won 3. Their last away win was in January. Yeah. Go over and look at their stats.
That was at Fulham, I think, if I remember.
Yeah, that's right. So you go over and look. They're shocking stats. The last 39 points of last season, he only got 13. They can't win an away game. They used to be strong away. I think he's had 6 years. We need something better.
Yeah, well, I think there's obviously some underlying issues at the club and with players unsettled. We always hear these things afterwards, but the impression I get from what I'm reading is there's an undercurrent of at the club that there's some sort of agenda. He referred to sort of different agendas going on. And obviously when the manager starts making comments like that, there's obviously things happening. So it remains to be seen. But as you say, they've had a shocking run, particularly away from home, where they used to be so strong. Yeah. And again, case in point, last weekend at Leicester, they just folded at the end. So
rubbish.
Yeah.
I want to ask you just a quick question on that. The song would have put us 2 up, but a part of his body was, I think it was his shoulder or something, was fractionally over the line, so it wasn't a goal. What happens if a defender whose body was in line was pointing at his goalkeeper and his hand was closer to the goal and Song's...
It's so such fine margins. And the truth is, had that have counted, we thought obviously it went in 2-0, they probably would have gone on to win comfortably. But it's I think VAR. Again, you're getting an accurate, very accurate position, but it is taking something away from the game as well. But as I say,
they've got to iron it out. They never go against a ref. Very rare, unless it's blatant.
Yeah.
Ref says no penalty, VAR play on.
Well, it's meant to be a definite error, and I have to say there are times when I've watched a few and you think the referee should go to VAR because he's got nothing to lose. If he's not sure, then do it. But to overrule something and then it turns out afterwards it might have been, I think it makes them look silly. So the danger is obviously they will go, and I think they are conscious. They don't want to go to VAR every time there is any sort of margin there where they think there could be, because the game could be held up for 5-10 minutes every game.
Any penalty is reviewed. Any penalty,
but that seems to happen sort of automatically. But,
Matic against, was it Lacazette for Newcastle? He got pulled to the ground. Both presenters said guaranteed penalty. Harry Kane got pulled to the ground. If the ref doesn't call it, pass it by. It has to be blatant.
Yeah.
Steve, talking about blatant, Watford Wolves tomorrow. How big a game is that?
I was going to say he got the tale of two struggling sides.
Yeah. How do you see that game?
I feel first. It's interesting you're talking about managers, but this is unbelievable. Quique Sanchez Flores is fifth favourite to get sacked. He's only been there 3 games, including a win in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
I don't think you could read too much into what happened at City. They were completely sort of blasted
5
away.
goals in 17 minutes, Steve. 5 goals.
Their heads went and that was it. And I think they just wanted to get off that pitch at half-time and full-time. Yeah. And actually, 8-0 was sort of damage limitation in the end for them. Wolves, whatever Nuno is saying, and he's, again, he's fourth favourite for the sack after everything he's done there in the last sort of 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah. I'm not sure there's going to be a winner here. I think if there is, it'll probably be Wolves, but I think it's going to be a nervy game. I think neither team wants to lose this one. They can't afford to, because they're going to really be rock bottom of the pile if that happens.
Yeah. Can Everton upset Man City, Steve?
No. I think it's unlikely, although in the past they have actually got a semi-decent record at Goodison against them. Yeah. Maybe with everything that's been said about them and the struggles they had last week, they'll put up a show. But, City can't afford to keep sort of dropping points as they have done. Losing at Norwich, being held by, in the first few games of the season, they've dropped points and they're already 5 points behind Liverpool. So I think City will go there and win, and I think there'll be another hard day for Silva.
Yeah, 2 teams that got knocked out the League Cup in midweek, Bournemouth versus West Ham. That should be a good game.
I think so. And, again, West Ham's league form has been exceptionally good since the opening day. They're one of the most informed teams below the top 2. Bournemouth I thought played very well at Southampton last week. So I think it'll be a tight game. Again, I can't see much in it. I think there's going to be a low-scoring game. It could go either way.
Another team that's under a bit of early pressure is Aston Villa. Can you see them up?
They won last night?
Aston Villa, 3-1.
They won the night before. Well, actually, Brighton put out a very, very weak team, and Villa played a fairly strong side. So, when you saw who was playing, that didn't surprise me that Villa came out on top there. Villa, I think, might just edge this one. Burnley, hard team to beat, but they don't travel too well. I think this is a bit, not say a must-win game for Villa, but they've obviously had a few defeats now, and they're probably disappointed after the giving up a lead and against 10-man Arsenal. So I think it'll be close, but I think Villa might just edge it. But I think if they don't, I think those would be worrying signs for them.
Yeah, talking about worrying signs, Man United were terrible on Saturday. Can they rebound against Arsenal on Monday?
You'd like to think so, but I think it's going to be a really tough game. They're going to have to they're going to have to dig very deep. I think Arsenal showed a lot of character to come back. United was a shocking performance in the grand scheme of things. Obviously they'll have Pogba back, but it's up front. They can't score goals, and this is a problem. They've obviously they took a gamble, as we know, letting a couple of forwards go and really not replacing them. So the forward line is going to have to be Mason Greenwood again. I presume maybe Daniel James alongside. It's going to be tough for them but as we know, Arsenal have got a shaky defence, so I think again it's going to be very tight, but I've got a feeling that it's not going to be a happy Monday on
Steve, Arsenal not a great away side. Do you remember the second half against Watford? They were 2-0 up. Watford slaughtered them.
They were poor.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but I just think that United are under a lot of pressure here at the moment, and again, in the past, United have got a decent record in recent years at home against Arsenal, but they can't score. They're really struggling at the moment.
Now, Steve, tell me about Fulham. I backed your boys last week. Last minute equaliser.
Yeah, disappointing. I think overall it was, for what I'm saying, it was a disappointing performance. And again, but when you go into the 93rd minute, you're 1-0 up away from home. You've got to close the game out.
Yeah,
we didn't do that. It was probably one of our poorer performances since the opening day. So, beforehand, I think I said that Sheffield Wednesday is not an easy place to go, and I would have taken a draw possibly, but not happy with the performance. They have to bounce back on Friday against Wigan. Wigan don't travel at all well. I think Scott Parker will start to get under a little bit of pressure with the, on the basis that with the squad he does have available, we should be beating teams like Wigan at home. And I'd be really disappointed if they didn't win by at least 2 clear goals.
You going to the game, Steve?
I shall be there, Friday night.
Steve, another Friday night game, Stoke, Nottingham Forest. How do you see that one?
Well, Nathan Jones at Stoke is having a terrible time, and also got dumped out of the Carabao Cup on penalties by Crawley. He's got a shock since he went there in January. He's probably got a shocking record. He's under real pressure. I've just got a feeling they might just raise their game for this one. I think they're under huge pressure there. Forest, though, keep confounding everybody. I think, away from home particularly, they've been really strong. Having sort of won at both Fulham and Swansea. I think this will be tight, but I've got a feeling, I think Stoke might just hold them.
All right, Leeds be too good for Charlton away from home?
I think they will be. Charlton started really well. They've come unstuck a couple of matches running now, but I just think away from home, Leeds seem to have the right sort of mix, and they defend when they have to, and they break very quickly. And watching highlights of their games away from home, you can see why they've won all 4.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if Charlton can have enough to hold them.
And 2 informed teams, QPR at home to West Brom. I saw the West Brom Huddersfield game on Sunday.
Huddersfield.
Back.
Huddersfield were leading, but they just ran out of steam, and West Brom were too strong in the end. And we saw them the following last week at Fulham. They very poor in the first half, but I think they got a decent side, West Brom. QPR, I think, have surprised everybody. I mean, they were one of the favourites to go down, having sold 1 or 2 of their best players and let senior players go, and bringing in some free transfers, and here they are in the top 6 with 3 wins in a row. So I think that'll be a tough game. I don't think QPR will beat West Brom though.
Okay, and the big game in the Championship, Preston at home to Bristol City.
And it is a big game. And I think if Preston can continue showing the home form that they have, I think they can upset Bristol City, who again have gone well themselves. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if Preston sort of carry on their run. They had a good win last week. We were talked about their away record, but they dug deep and got a good away win at Birmingham.
All right, Stevie, thanks very, very much, and I wish you all the best for tomorrow night. A must-win game for you guys.
Absolutely. All right.
Thanks, Stevie. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. Bye. All right, but let's get on to our Premier League fixtures and have a look what's going on. You've done your homework on who's going to win. Let's look at that board.
Well, it's hard to look past Liverpool. I thought it was a brilliant game against Chelsea. A little bit fortunate at times with the VAR goal, and they missed a few chances, but they look really slick, Liverpool. 1-3, Paul. I know it's hard to really put them in your bets. I think Liverpool to win by more than 1 goal is 8-10.
That's right.
So Liverpool should be certainties, Paul.
Bournemouth, West Ham.
Yeah, I just don't know how this one goes. West Ham beat United, but that wasn't the greatest of performance, I didn't think. They scored 2 really good goals. Bournemouth were impressive against Southampton.
Yeah.
I like what I see.
They're quick.
Yeah, quick, Paul. So the 2 teams, I like Bournemouth, but Stevie could be on something. 27-10 the draw, but of the 2 teams, I like Bournemouth.
Okay, and then how about the
Yeah, I
next
like
one?
Burnley of the two. Aston Villa, Paul, when you keep throwing it away,
Yeah.
they've got a harsh decision at Crystal Palace. They got beat 1-0. Against West Ham at home, they were really poor, I thought. And against Arsenal, they should have won the game before getting beat 3-2. I like Burnley. They've turned it around. There's no Europa League. I wouldn't be taking 21-10, Paul, but it's 7-10, Burnley in the draw. That's my play in that game.
All right, and then next up?
Well, Chelsea, Paul, they concede goals every week, but I watched the Brighton-Newcastle game. It was one-way traffic. Brighton murdered them.
Yeah.
Until
They can
the last.
play.
They can play. They play three at the back. He's got them playing well, Graham Potter.
Yeah.
Hard to see them upsetting Chelsea, but I think they'll score.
Yeah.
But Chelsea to win and both teams to score, that would be my play there, Paul.
Okay, Palace?
I like Palace, Paul. The second half, I was so disappointed with United. I take the second half and I watch the Palace game. How they never beat Wolves, I don't know.
Yeah.
Our man onside Benteke missed a sitter in injury time. There was another sitter that also missed, and then they went straight down and equalised. Roy Hodgson would have been horrified. I think they get back to ways. Norwich away from home, haven't got the best record. They play too much football for me away from home. I think Palace will murder them.
Okay. What about our man Pookie?
Well, hasn't scored away from. There again. He can't score every week.
Spurs have to win.
Well, I think they'll
Poch is
rebound,
out.
Paul. I was so disappointed with Southampton against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They just never had any fight. And Tottenham, after going out the cup, you can imagine the reaction from the fans. They'll come out fired up. I think it's a 3-4-0 game, Paul.
Please be right, Budgie. Please be right. Once, turn it around for us. Wolves, Watford we spoke about.
I like Wolves. Watford, you get beat 8-0, League Cup. You played a fairly strong team.
Yeah.
Wolves for me there, 9-10, but it's hard to back a team that are struggling in the league.
Yeah.
But they've had a week's break. I know that most of them never played in the League Cup. But if they can't beat this game, then you've got to be worried for Wolves.
Whoa, Everton, 8-1.
I think they'll score Everton. That was a game I watched last week. They killed me in a nice bet I had. They were really disappointing. Man City, I think, are going to win 8-9 in a row, Paul, after getting beat by Norwich. Man City will win, but I think Everton will score. I think it was 23-10, Man City to win and Everton, and both teams to score. But Man City should be too good.
Yeah, it'll be too good for Everton. Leicester City, 5-10.
I've just got a funny feeling. I don't know if Madison's going to play. He came off against
good player,
Bradley, very good player. Newcastle away from home, they scored at Liverpool, they scored at Spurs.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce will park the bus and they get stuck in. You'd expect Leicester to win, but I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as the betting suggests.
Man United Arsenal will be a very good game. Man United are poor and Arsenal aren't that good away.
Paul, just the signs coming out of Old Trafford, and what I see I don't like. We've got nothing up front. And I hate to say it, but I don't fancy Man United, even though we've got a great record against Arsenal at home.
Yeah.
It's a 1-2-3 in exotics, but it's Monday.
A Monday game,
Monday game, 9 o'clock, but
okay.
for both teams to score looks the right way. I couldn't be confident in either team,
All right, how about the Championship?
Paul, I think Fulham are certainties.
Yeah, me too.
5-10. Wigan don't travel. And Fulham are going to give somebody 3 or 4. I thought it was an unlucky result. I backed them last week. I thought they were home, injury time. I think Fulham, I think they're 13th now in the league, and they're slowly disappearing from the playoff places.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
I expect them
to bounce back.
They'll win, Paul, especially at home. Now I can't believe the betting's this way, Paul. Stoke haven't won a game.
They're rubbish.
They're rubbish, and they made 8 changes when they got beat in the League Cup on Tuesday. But Nottingham Forest,
they're playing well.
They beat Swansea away, they beat Fulham away. They're a good team. I think the betting's wrong, Paul. I like Forest 22-10. It's 7-10. Forest win and draw. But I'm going to have a nibble on Notts Forest to win at that price.
Okay.
QPR West Brom. Now QPR, the stat I saw on Betfair, had more shots at goal and on target than any other team in the Championship. A guy from Preston, Jordan Hugel's up front. But West Brom under Slaven Bilic haven't lost at 8. They were 2-1 down on Sunday, come back at 1-4-2. Experienced team.
Huddersfield?
No, they were at home.
Home.
Huddersfield have improved big time.
Yeah.
But I don't know, 5-2 the draw looks at play, but I don't see West Brom getting beat.
Okay, Leeds?
No, it's Blackburn against Luton there, Paul. I think Blackburn will murder Luton. Luton been struggling. They got beat 3-0 at home by Hull City last week, and Hull are poor travellers. 7-10 Blackburn all day.
Okay, now Leeds.
No, it's Leeds. Charlton, Charlton Leeds. Ironically, it's the ex-Leeds player that's manager Charlton, Lee Boyer. Got sent off the other week.
Lee Boyer.
But they won 4 in a row. Leeds United, 5 if you include the playoff win at Derby, 5-10. Paul, it won't be as easy.
Yeah.
I think it's 12-10 Leeds to win by more than 1 goal, but I expect Leeds to win, Paul.
Okay, Derby County.
Birmingham, Derby, I watched them, they drew at Cardiff at home, they were terrible. I was talking to a Derby fan yesterday, Blaine Hamilton, he was distraught, he's not abusing anybody. I think the draw's a big player there, Paul. Birmingham, they were unlucky to lose at Preston by all reports. Had a good run, but a draw in Derby for me there, Paul.
Huddersfield, bottom of the log.
I think Huddersfield will beat Millwall. Millwall is struggling. They've won the first 2 home games. They beat Preston and Reading, I think it was at home. They've struggled since. Last 4 away from home. Poor team. Huddersfield were unlucky against West Brom. They caught the wrong team. They were 2-1 up, conceded a City goal and got beat 4-2. If ever there's a chance for Huddersfield to turn it around, this is the game, Paul.
Hull?
Yeah, it's just Cardiff. Cardiff at home have got a good record. They've won all 4 home games, but away from home they struggled.
Yeah.
That Jared Bowen scored a couple the other day. There's goals in this game, Paul, but Hull are just one of those teams 14, you just can't catch.
No confidence.
It's a 1-2-3 game in exotics, Paul.
Middlesbrough, Sheffield Wednesday.
Middlesbrough don't score many goals. I think they scored 4 goals this year. But Sheffield Wednesday have lost the last couple of games. It's Middlesbrough in the draw for me there, Paul.
Preston up third, is that right?
Yeah, we're third, Paul. We're going well. Big game for us. We rested our 2 centre-halves against Man City in the week. Big game, Paul. We've got a great record. We've won 6 and drawn 1 the last 7 against Bristol City. But Bristol City are unbeaten in 7. This is a close game, Paul. Preston in the draw for me. Last week I was confident 16-10 to beat Sheffield Wednesday. Not this week. This will be a close game.
Swansea,
I
Reading.
fancy Swansea, Paul. Reading have gone off the boil. They had a couple of good wins. I think Swansea good things at 8-10.
And
the Sunday game, Paul, I think there's goals in this. Brentford don't score many goals. They sold a couple of good players. And Barnsley are struggling too. So they've got to have a full go. I think there's goals in this, Paul. I think the draw's a big player, 27-10.
All right, let's go and have a look at the PSL fixtures. How's it looking at the moment? I see Kaizer Chiefs did beat Amazulu.
They were lucky, Paul. I backed them as my best bet last week, and they were lucky. There was 2 questionable offsides Amazulu scored. The first one was definitely offside.
Amazulu scored
the second
or conceded, you mean?
No, they scored. They went 1-0, but they got disallowed. The linesman gave them both. The second goal was definitely onside. And then Chiefs got a free kick, bent it, keeper parried it, and 1-0, and they scored the last couple of seconds.
So Amazulu were right?
Amazulu improved. The new coach has got them. They showed a lot of fight. I'm disappointed in Chiefs, but got to give credit to Amazulu.
Yeah.
Now, Maritzburg's last game, they went to Sundowns, Paul. They got beat 2-1. Now, Brocky plays for Maritzburg. He's on loan from Sundowns. He couldn't play against Sundowns because he's a loan player. It's a Friday game. If ever there's a chance for Maritzburg to get back to winning ways, Paul, this is it. Chipper is struggling. I fancy Maritzburg, Paul, 13-10.
Okay.
Yeah, Golden Arrows at Sugar Ray Kulu Stadium. They don't get beat there too often. I think in the last 7 or 8, only Wits have gone there and won. Stellenbosch threw it away. They were 2-1 up, conceded at home to Black Leopards in extra time. I think this is a low-scoring game, Paul, but it should be Golden Arrows, but wouldn't surprise me if this is a 0-0 or a 1-1 draw. Pirates, Cape Town City, Pirates Wits last week was a cracker, 4-3. Cape Town City cost us our bet.
Who won it, Budge?
Wits won 4-3. Cape Town City cost us, conceded an injury time penalty. The defenders see that. I felt like throwing the TV. I couldn't believe it. And Benny's team score goals, but defensively they're inexperienced. This should be a cracker, Paul. I think there's goals.
Yeah.
Pirates don't get beat at home, but I've got no confidence in them at the moment.
Yeah.
So a draw for my play there. And Chiefs disappointing, but Baroque is their bogey team.
Chiefs top of the league.
Yeah. Only by one or 2 goals from Polokwane. But Baroque is their bogey team, Paul.
Yeah.
Away from at home, Baroque can never win. Away from home, they've lost 2-12. Chiefs should win, Paul, but there were a couple of injuries. The guys were going down like you couldn't believe. So Chiefs should win, Paul, but I wouldn't be taking 8-10.
No.
The second page, Supersport and Amazulu. I was really impressed with Amazulu. The problem we had with Supersport is they play the MTNM Cup final next Saturday.
Yes.
And I just wonder if he's going to arrest a few players. Gabuza and Krobler were arrested last week when they got beat by Polokwane. They've had a busy few weeks, so I just don't know if he's going to rotate his squad, especially with the Cup final in mind. So Amazulu could cause an upset there, Paul, but if they play their best team, Supersport should be too good.
Okay. Black Leopards, Bloom Celtic.
I like Celtic are the 2 teams, Paul. Away from home, they haven't got the best of records, but only Pirates and Sundowns have beat them. The draw is the key result in that, but Black Leopards are struggling. I know they drew 2-2 at Stellenbosch, but a draw in Bloom Celtic for me.
Highlands, Polokwane.
Highlands play Supersport in the Cup final next weekend, and I think Owen de Gama's going to arrest a few of his players. I like Polokwane. Yeah, they beat Supersport 3-1. They beat them comfortable. They're well organised, and they got knocked out in the semi-final by Highlands. Both games ended up 0-0, and they ended up winning on a penalty shootout Highlands. So I think it's payback for Polokwane. I like Polokwane.
Okay. Give us your soccer pools.
Yeah, the first one is the South African one. I've gone Golden Arrows win and draw at home against Stellenbosch. I've gone the field in the Pirates Cape Town City game. I think Spurs will be too good for Southampton. I've gone Kaizer Chiefs win and draw against Baroka. I think Man City will beat Everton, and I'm looking for the upset in the Supersport Amazulu game, 2-1-6.
Right.
The second one is the English one. I've gone the field in the Aston Villa Burnley game. Likewise, the Bournemouth West Ham clash. I think Chelsea will beat Brighton. I've gone Crystal Palace win and draw at home against Norwich, even though I think Palace will win. I've banked Spurs, and I've gone Wolves win and draw at home against Watford, 2-1-6.
Okay.
On to the 10, I've gone Golden Arrows win and draw at home against Stellenbosch. I've gone the field in the Orlando Pirates Cape Town City match. I've gone Burnley win and draw at Aston Villa. I've gone the field in the Bournemouth West Ham game. I think Chelsea will be too good for Brighton. The second page, I think Tottenham will beat Southampton. I've had to find another banker, so I've gone Wolves to beat Watford. I've thrown the draw in with Kaizer Chiefs and Baroka FC. I think Man City will beat Everton, and I went Supersport United win and draw at home against Amazulu, 288.
All right, and then the big
The
one.
Soccer 13, yeah, I've gone Burnley win and draw at Aston Villa. I've gone Bournemouth win and draw at home against West Ham. I've banked Chelsea to beat Brighton, Crystal Palace to beat Norwich, and Tottenham to beat Southampton. I've gone Wolves win and draw at home against Watford. I've banked Man City to beat Everton.
Okay.
Second page, I've banked Leeds to beat Charlton. I think Blackburn will be too good for Luton Town. I've gone Derby County win and draw at home against Birmingham City. I've gone the field in the Hull City Cardiff City match. I've gone Middlesbrough win and draw at home against Sheffield Wednesday, and I've gone Preston win and draw at home against Bristol City, 326.
All right, Budge, let's go into those bets you picked out. Tell me about the treble
Yeah, I
here.
think I've gone Crystal Palace and Tottenham to beat Norwich and Southampton, and over 2.5 total goals on each game.
Okay.
And I've gone Man City to beat Everton and both teams to score. So if it's 3-1, 4-2, whatever. But Everton have to score.
Okay, the fiver.
On to the championship, and it starts off on Friday. I've gone Fulham to beat Wigan by more than 1 goal. I've gone Notts Forest win or draw at Stoke City. That's also a Friday game. I think Blackburn will be too good for Luton. Taking a chance with Huddersfield to break their duck at home against Millwall. And I think Swansea will beat Reading. Nice price, 25-1, 5,000 to 200. On to our PSL bet, I've gone Maritzburg to beat Chipper United. I've gone Polokwane to win at Highlands Park. I've gone under 2.5 goals, Golden Arrow, Stellenbosch, and hopefully it's a goal fest. Over 2.5 goals, Orlando Pirates against Cape Town City, 4,400 to 200.
Okay.
Both teams to score sides are Aston Villa Burnley, Chelsea Brighton, Leicester Newcastle, Barnsley Brentford, and QPR West Brom, 3,100 to 200. Our Spanish quartet, or the omelette as you like to call it, I've gone Alaves to beat Mallorca. I've gone Athletic Bilbao to beat Valencia. And I've gone both teams to score in the Getafe Barcelona and Granada Leganés match, 3,500 to 200. And our Collis King 6 or Nixa, I've gone Fulham to beat Wigan, Crystal Palace to beat Norwich. I've gone Tottenham to beat Southampton, Blackburn to beat Luton, Juventus to beat Spal, and I've gone Alaves to beat Real Mallorca, 3,400 to 200.
Okay, your best bet, Budge.
Paul, I'm going Crystal Palace. I think 9.5 to 10. They may even go to even money. I just don't like Norwich away from home. And I watched them. Sacco and Cahill at the back they look really tight now at the back, Crystal Palace. Middle of the park, they're well organised. If they have the scoring boots on, I think they'll win easy, Paul.
Okay, and then your value bet?
I just can't believe Notts Forest. I know it's a Friday game, 22 to 10. They're going well against a team that haven't won a league game, are struggling, and are under pressure at home. 22 to 10 Forest, Paul. That's my value bet for the
Excellent, Budge. Well, let's hope we crack it. And don't forget, there's 10 of you left in this last one standing. We're going to find out who our new winner is going to be. And get your bets in early. And until next time, stay on side.